Om Shanti. Good evening and warm welcome to everyone to the Meditation Museum. My name is Kalen and I'm a student here. I've been a student here for the last 4+ years, and I work in the financial services sector, and have found that Raja Yoga meditation is a really wonderful tool to use for me to manage my stress and motivate myself in what is an increasingly stressful and competitive world. Or at least that's the way I felt. I'm also a father of 2 children, 6 and 4, and so life is very interesting at the moment. Anyone see the Oscars last night? Yes? I didn't, but I came to class this morning, and we have a morning class that we come to, and we study about acting in the morning class as well. And the way that I have learned to appreciate the drama is that the creator, director, and principal actor, in my heart, all those Oscars go to the Supreme Soul, the one and only energy that is teaching me how to play my part a little bit differently, so that maybe someday I can also get an Oscar. But tonight we have a very, very special guest, and as many of you may have heard or read about her, her name is Ingrid Vanderveldt. She has been a guest on the America Meditating radio show, which is a show that Sister Jenna does every day. And just a few words of introduction. Ingrid Vanderveldt is a chairperson and CEO of Empowering a Billion Women by 2020. I grew up in India, and India has over 1 billion people. I've learned that in the last 4 years, uplifting even one soul requires a lot of effort. So 1 billion women, that's wonderful. Previously, she was the first entrepreneur in residence for Dell Inc., where she oversaw entrepreneurial activities worldwide. She sits on the UN Foundation's Global Entrepreneurs Council, is a managing partner of Bell Capital, founding organizer of the Glass Forum, which is a global leadership and sustainable success, and co-founder of the Billionaire Girls Club. She also created and hosted CNBC's first original primetime series, American Made, reaching over 1 million viewers around the globe, and serves on several advisory boards. Ingrid has been featured on outlets including NBC, CNBC, Fox, ABC, USA Today, The Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Bloomberg, CNN Money. It's a long list, and it goes on. Before Ingrid comes on the stage, we have a very special guest, Nirmala Devi, and she runs the Sutradhar Dance Academy. I want to welcome her on the stage to come and share a few moments with all of us. Om Shanti. Hope you enjoy the evening.
Tools are, like any dance form, the tools are the body itself, the space, and the time. Space and time are always considered infinite in Indian philosophy, and that affects the arts. But something extra happens here, whereas the poetry and mythology get intertwined and become a foundation for Indian dance. So what happens is that the poetry becomes three-dimensional through dance, and the script of the poem is rewritten through the limbs of the dancer. So we become the poetry scene. That's the aim, that's the aspiration for every dancer. And another thing is that something that's very abstract, like philosophy, begins to come and become a human experience. Again, through our limbs, it becomes a very grounded reality. So on that note, the first dance that I'm going to be presenting, just a short abbreviation thing, is about Saraswati, or Ode to the Goddess of Wisdom, who is draped in beautiful white sari, not this color, and she is seated on a lotus. Could I put this away, or?
Om Shanti. Wasn't that a real treat?
Yes.
Now we have another very, very special soul coming on the stage to entertain us. And her name is Namata. She is one of the most, I don't know if this is the right word, humblest people that I know. Simplest, yet just packed with a lot of energy and power. So here we go.
Om Shanti. My name is Navata. I stay at the center in McLean and I work as an IT engineer. I've been in this spiritual path for over 10 years and it helped me immensely to stay focused and be confident and be more efficient in my personal and professional life. There are no words actually, to be frank, how the divine, the highest power, God, was there in my life throughout my journey every minute. And I have so many examples and experiences. But today I'm going to sing a song. It's a Hindi love song. And I'm dedicating this song to my love, God, and to you all, and to our special guest, Ingrid. So before I sing the song, I'll just essentially tell the meaning, what it says. I have loved you and will always love you. I'll keep the promise I made. My love, I accept you for all lifetimes. I'm in love with you. I promise you that your heart will never be sad. I'm completely committed to you. My heart is restless only for you. My yearnings have turned into happiness. Someone has entered my life. My love calls out to me. I'm soaring in ecstasy. Come to me. I'm waiting for you. So, the song goes like this. तुमको चाहता तुमको चाहेंगे तुमको चाहता तुमको चाहेंगे वादे जो किए थे वो निभाएंगे ऐ सनम हर जन्म का ये इकरार है हमको तुमसे प्यार है हमको तुमसे प्यार है तुमको चाहता तुमको चाहेंगे हो वादा है
first time singing in front of a big audience.
And that was such a long time ago, and things have changed tremendously. But for many women, they don't wait for change anymore. And for some of us, we have a strong desire to work more for the upliftment of humanity. And that's what Ingrid Vanderveldt was set out to do. You see, the courage to do such things is to think of empowering 1 billion women by 2020 has got to be something that comes from silence and from God. And this courage to do so came from perhaps her being very clear about her own spiritual path and her future. In point of fact, I think we're neither male nor female, but deeply we are all souls, children of the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. But currently, the soul is playing the role of a female. And it has become very clear that we aim to make this world a better place, to be more of service to others than just for ourselves. For a long period of time, the world has never looked to women to help in solving problems. Instead, it has turned to those of great authority, to scholars and to the very wealthy, and this has been perhaps maybe the most crucial mistake. The mother's role, the woman's role, is to awaken others, and for mothers to awaken the children, but with great love, and to prepare them for the rest of life. She's their support. She nurtures, she cares, she empowers. Generally, it is attachment to the home and children which sometimes prevent a woman from fulfilling her real calling. So to go beyond that attachment is not a small accomplishment. To go beyond the fear of what society will say is no less. Forging a relationship with the Supreme can give a lot of internal power. And that's what many women are out to do. To break the social norms and the intimidation of traditions. You see, there's a spirit inside of every woman and every man, and that spirit is strong. But in particular, to think about uplifting 1 billion women in which their spirit is so strong and it can withstand every external pressure and influence there is to mankind means you are going to bring an end to war. You're going to bring an end to slavery. It means you're going to bring an end to sorrow and suffering of the world. We proudly welcome Ingrid Vanderveldt to the stage today. A young woman who has decided to allow her heart and her calling and her passion to make a difference in the 21st century, to empower the role of mothers and women, to make them strong, and to definitely create a future for many, many mothers and sons to grow from. Thank you very much, Ingrid. And thank you for coming.
I think I'm going to need tissues now. Can I take this off?
Yeah, you can.
And I noticed my dog jumped on me on this shirt, so it has a little hole on it. So just ignore that if you see it.
I was told that the sound was a problem.
Oh my
I know, I shouldn't have done that. I should have
Oh my gosh, I know. Thank you.
Oh, come have a seat.
A very warm welcome. Om Shanti. I'm so glad that everyone could come out tonight, and it always touches my heart every time we host one of these conversations and events here. It was so cute. Ingrid sent me a text message. Should I bring my yoga pants? So I said to Ingrid, this is a different kind of meditation. And for those of you who have
you've been coming here for the last 6 years, you know that we're moving. And congratulations to us, we finally found a new space. It's in Timbuktu. Actually, it's right down the road. So yeah. So if anyone knows a good contractor, can you call me, please? So, you know, those are always interesting experiences which test my meditation power and yoga power. But it's good that I believe in my good karmas over these last years, and so I'm fine. I want to say a lot, but I won't. It's Ingrid's night, and we are moving through some very unique times. And if you've been coming here for the last 6 years, I know that your stories are very personal and intimate, but you've also changed a lot by coming here. And as you know by now, last year we did 200 events. 200 events. So this is not a sitting down museum, and I'm hoping that you'll get an idea to interpret meditation and spirituality as an on-the-move experience. It's not about sitting down, emptying your mind, but you've got to start to think at a higher level. We've got to start to bring more of our power and goodness into the world so we can stop seeing the suffering that we're seeing today. Okay? So I'd like to acknowledge a few of my, what I call my buddies in the room, but I'm sure you all enjoyed Nimala Devi's dance. She has a beautiful dance school, and she also teaches adults. So you're welcome to join her on that. But I'd also like to acknowledge Marcia Dyson. Marcia's doing a lot of work for women empowerment as well. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we go into the conversation? Just a little bit?
Just to remind women that in the month of March, of course, Women's History Month, that the fourth conference on Beijing's 20th anniversary, where Hillary Clinton said women's rights and human rights, will be celebrated in New York City for 2 weeks at the United Nations. But even though you're not there, the one thing that we discussed prior to coming out is exclusion of spirituality. So while we're in New York City taking care of entrepreneurship and safety of women, you can be here celebrating, lifting up the spirit of women. And for the safety of women, it's not just about economic development, it's about her soul and her spirit. And Ingrid will expound on a little bit more. So your activities, I'm hoping, during next month for Women's History Month is remember the woundedness of women who do not have that center core of peace, who cannot come to the Meditation Museum, but your energy will reverberate around the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Marcia and I have been up to a lot of mischief. We have this cute thing. Marcia is like the fighter in the group, you know? And Harriet Fulbright, who I will also introduce shortly, is the wise keeper of many stories. And then we have Zainab, who's like the freedom fighter of creating a moderate Islam, you know, in Iraq. And she used to wear her machine guns and go out in Iraq and just to get everything done. And then here I am, I'm on the mountaintop. And it's time to center ourselves. And you know, it's just a very interesting group of women. And so I always appreciate when we can come out together. Harriet Fulbright is also in the room. Harriet, would you like to say something?
I'm just so pleased to be here. I'm opening a new college in Turkey this spring, which I'm very pleased and excited about. We'll be going to visit it sometime this spring.
Where in
Excellent.
Turkey?
And we have Portia Davidson, who is retired from the government. How many years?
Over 38.
Over 38 years, and she made the Coast Guard behave. So without further ado, yeah. I would like to take this time to invite Ingrid to share her thoughts, her goals, her vision. And you know why I love Ingrid so much? Because she rides a motorcycle. But more than anything else, it's the work that she's doing. Impossible becomes possible. And she's really focused on empowering 1 billion women by 2020. And I'd like to invite everyone in the room, male and female, to get on board and be in support of this movement, because I want her to know she's so not alone now. After meeting me, a lot changes. I forgot to tell you that on the radio. A lot of things happen. And we're looking forward to just hearing your sharing tonight. And there will be questions and answers as well when Ingrid's finished. And I will come up and finish off with my new CD, Off the Grid, Into the Heart. All right. Thank you all for coming up.
Do you prefer that I talk with this, or can you hear me like this?
Being live streamed.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. First of all, I'd love to thank Sister Jenna and Antonia for making this happen tonight. I have to tell you, my business partners were saying on the way here, they said, you gotta take lots of pictures. You gotta take pictures of all the people. You've never done this before. And I said, yeah, I haven't. I've spoken in front of people all over the world. I've been very blessed to be invited to come around the world. But the conversations that I have are usually around entrepreneurship, and spirituality is such a huge part of that. But I've never been invited to come into a place of worship, a place of meditation, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be here with you.
Yay.
Thank you. I'd actually like to then, since I'm going to take full advantage of this opportunity and just jump right into just taking a moment to take a deep breath and think about why it is that we've all come together here tonight. We've all been brought here for many different reasons, and at the same time, many of the same reasons. And we're all here to learn something from one another. I'll learn from you. I hope you'll learn from me. And I've come to know through my own meditation that part of why I continue to be asked from a spiritual perspective to get out and connect with men and women, with focus on women around the world, is that every single one of these engagements, I promise you, if you fully allow yourself to take everything in that we're going to be talking about tonight and think about how does this apply to where you are, what you might be struggling with, what are those big dreams you're trying to accomplish, what are the things that might make you feel like it's holding you back, what is the one thing that if you got this little nugget of inspiration would potentially make all of that possible. And I promise you, again, if you fully bring yourself into this conversation, you will walk away with that nugget. So with that, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. And I'll share some of my own stories, but then I can't wait to open it up for the questions that you might have. So one last deep breath. And welcome back in. Is everybody good?
Better.
Better. Me too. So please remind me if I put this down, because I now feel so centered. I just want to talk with you like that. But I want to make sure that you can hear this out there. So to just frame things a little bit, where I am today, the things that I do today, overseeing empowering 1 billion women by 2020. I'll just say there's no getting around this is a divine calling, and I'll share some of that with you. And that things have been enormously successful. They're only growing. Last year alone, we reached 600 million people towards our goal of reaching 1 billion people. So we're getting there.
It's amazing. Wow.
Thank you. But I think where the real learning happens is and Sister Jenna and I shared some of this together on her show when she had me on her show, that a few things. That first of all, none of this happened until the day that I literally made a commitment to the divine, which was about 4.5 years ago. And I said to the divine, I'm fully ready. Whatever it is that you call me to do, I will 100% go into service of that. I won't question it. I will just trust, and I'll take those first steps. And when I made the commitment with every ounce of my being, I literally got in my car. I was on a ranch in Dallas, Texas. I started driving down the road, and I asked the divine, so what is it that you need me to do? What am I called to do? What are all these experiences that I've had today? What is all of this gearing me up to do? And right after I did that, I heard, everything that you have done today, and I'll share some of this again with you, some of the background, all this, but everything that you've had happen to you today, or that has happened to you today, all of your experiences, the good, the bad, all of that together, is gearing you up to get you ready to do what I need you to do now, which is empowering 1 billion women by 2020. And when I heard that, I went, you gotta be kidding me. That is the dumbest goal ever. Who does that? You know, how does one person impact a global community? How do you do that? I mean, you have people around the world that I aspire to be like, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, who, reach billions of people. But really, how does a nobody do that? What happens? And I love the dogs here. I'm from Texas. My dogs are at home, and I love those little guys. So bark away. But what was really interesting in that moment was that I started in that moment questioning, this is crazy. This is totally crazy. This is ridiculous. And then I reminded myself, Ingrid, you made the commitment. You made the promise. You finally made the promise. So instead of questioning how ridiculous this was and how impossible this would be, what would happen if instead I said, this is impossible, to how would we make this possible? How would we start down this path? And when I started asking the questions from that perspective and truly going to my divine self to say, guide me in the answers that I need to hear to make this vision a reality, it became very clear how to do that. In my world, I'm a technology entrepreneur by trade. So I've built a number of companies, built and sold a number of companies. I've had some great successes, and I've had some things that failed miserably. I shared with Sister Jenna, I was homeless at one point in my life. Not because I didn't have a great family I could go back to. I did. I always have to say, I had great parents. But I was so embarrassed that at the time this happened, that as a young woman building a venture, I built a company successfully, went on to build another one, and I kept making a series of decisions that were so bad that I literally ran not only the company, but everything I owned into the ground. And I found myself living in my car. And had it not been for a girlfriend who saw what was happening, and she said, Ingrid, nobody needs to know about this. They don't need to know this is going on. You come live in my house, you rebuild, you do what Mary Kay Ash says as an entrepreneur. I tell myself all the time, fake it till you make it. Get out there, go do it again, which was not that easy. I wanted to roll up into a ball, drink a lot of wine, and cry myself to sleep every day. That's really what I wanted to do, and I did for a few days. But it was that experience of living in her home and realizing that I only had one choice at that time. And that choice was I could either accept that this was my new life, that I was homeless, broke, a loser is how I felt, or that this was, as I imagine today, you see these, generals and army people who have like sleeves full of stripes and things that they earn when they go to war, and they're all decorated when they get older. And I'm like, wow, I'm kind of like the female entrepreneurial version. To frame it in that way, but it was all from a deeply spiritual perspective. Had I not had that foundation, I wouldn't have made it through that time. But I mention that because my world really falls into three buckets. And I realized that when I realized my calling, that everything I had done was either in business or it was in policy. I was starting to get involved in policy initiatives at the time, 4.5 years ago, or it was in media. So many years ago, I was a business television host with CNBC. And that gave me the vehicle to realize that one person with a clear heart, committed heart, and a clear vision can truly change the world. And at the time I got into media because I wanted to share the stories of the conversations that I was having with my mentors that were teaching me through the homeless period and then the successes and failures and all of that. I wanted to share that with as many people as I could. And we turned that desire into a television show. I was not a trained television host. I just prayed that, God, if this is what you want me to do, to share these stories, it's what I want to do. Please help, make this happen. And my friends and I created a little video, and we got it into the hands of somebody that knew the executives at CNBC. They saw that. And next thing you know, I literally was hosting the first original primetime series on CNBC, which is totally ridiculous. But, it was the neatest thing. Thank you. But we were reaching, one show would reach millions of people, which was, again, a true blessing. But in realizing that those were my three buckets, I decided at the moment I heard my vision that I needed to clear everything off my plate, everything that did not fall into one of those three buckets and that did not align to the greater vision. I just wiped it off. And the only things I would add into my buckets were things that aligned to the global vision. And it was that led me, that understanding and that acceptance, that 100% going into service, saying, okay, so now I know it's in business, in policy, in media, that we're going to have a way to reach 1 billion women, but how does that really happen? And as a technology entrepreneur, I thought it's going to happen through technology. That's the only way we're going to reach women is through technology. And so my attention turned to focus on leverage. So how could one person create massive leverage? And that's what brought me to have the conversation with the president of Dell Corporation. I literally called him up and I said, I had met him once before. I didn't really have a relationship. I knew Michael Dell. We didn't really know each other. Michael Dell of Dell Computers. But I called Steve, because you have Michael and then you have Steve who runs Dell. And I called and I asked for a 20-minute meeting. Could I have 20 minutes of his time? I have an idea that I think could really help Dell in a big way. That's all I said. They accepted the meeting, but I've literally never been so scared in my life. Because I was like, well, now what am I going to do? He accepted the meeting. I know I have to empower 1 billion women, so he's going to think I'm a lunatic if I just tell him that. I've never, ever worked inside a company. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been my own boss. Even if that was running my own paper routes or whatever, I was always my own boss, figuring out and hustling to make things happen. I had no idea how to work inside a large corporation. I had had some in the past as clients, but never worked inside. So when it was time for that meeting, I literally, my stomach's upset, I'm sweating for days. It was literally about 5 days before this meeting, and I'm so scared I'm about to pass out. I'm literally about to pass out. And I'm telling my husband, I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to say. This was the stupidest idea ever. What am I going to do? My husband said, Ingrid, you'll figure this out. And like everything else, came down to my connection with the divine, saying, okay, you've gone a little overboard here because you've stressed out about this now for about 15 days. You're 5 days away from this meeting. You have no idea what you're going to say. So why not instead ask the divine what it is that I need to say? So I went into meditation that day. And by the way, when I go into meditate, and I don't know about you, but what creates the instant connection for me is actually my father's father, who passed away about 15 years ago. So before he passed away, it was harder for me to connect in, but I didn't do it as much. But now I hear my grandfather's voice, and he always says, hello, my dear, how are you? This is what I hear. And it's that voice that brings me into this meditative state. So I did this. And sure enough, in meditation, I heard, Ingrid, you asked for the meeting, and you're going to the meeting because you're 100% in service of your calling to empower 1 billion women by 2020. And you know it needs to happen through technology. So why not just say that to him? Like, just say that. And just say, I'm not quite sure how we're going to do this, but I know that I need a global tech partner to give me the fuel, to give me the platform to enable that connection to happen. And it was with that I had that conversation with Steve. And I did exactly that. I put my ego to the side. I stayed fully present in that meeting, and I said to him, I understand if what I'm about to say to you sounds sort of out there, but I have to be very authentic with you, and that is, I'm a very spiritual person. I grew up thinking I would be a missionary. As I got older and realized God had given me the gifts of being a pretty good capitalist, with the exception of my homeless stint. But other than that, I kind of got the hang of that. And that my calling in life was to be a missionary of a different kind, which was how do I create opportunities, certainly for myself, but my family, my community, and ultimately the world. And from that place, this is my calling. And I said to Steve Felice exactly what I heard. The only way I'm going to reach these women is through technology. And imagine, even if, and I think I said this to you on your radio show, because I literally said to him, Steve, even if I royally screw it up, which I might, but even if I screw the vision up and only reach a percentage of what we're going after, if those women are riding on Dell infrastructure and we're helping them grow and thrive and succeed, that could be really interesting business for you guys. And in that moment, Steve said, you are absolutely right. We need to do this together. We had no idea what we were going to do. No. It is amazing. It truly is amazing that, as I was saying when we were starting the conversation, from this place of if you really allow yourself to fully hear, fully embrace, and fully show up with what it is you're called to do. And you've heard this before, but I am living proof that that truly is the secret sauce of bringing to you the resources, the people, the money, the things that you need to realize what you're called to do. It unfolds for you with grace and with ease. And so when I started with Steve, we didn't even know what to call me.
I was just joining Dell, and I was going to work with Michael Dell, but I'm just Ingrid. But what do we call me? And we came up with this idea of creating an entrepreneur in residence position for the company. I signed on because Steve and I both knew we didn't know what we were doing, that it started out being a 6-month contract. I was supposed to be on board for 6 months, 2 weeks a month working with them, and at that time I already had some investments. So 2 weeks a month I was working with my investments. That very quickly turned into 24/7, beyond 24/7. By last year, I was sharing with my friends over the weekend. I had the wonderful opportunity to visit my childhood friends from Washington, D.C. that I grew up with, and they were asking me, so what is your life like? And by the time last year rolled around, my schedule had gotten to every 15 minutes of my day was scheduled out in 15-minute chunks, all day, morning to night. I had handlers with me all the time. When I traveled, which was 90% of my time, on the road worldwide, meeting with men and women, but mostly women around the world to understand where are you at? What is happening in your part of the country or the world that's different than maybe where we're at? Like, what do we need to do to really move the needle here? And I love doing it. And wherever I traveled, they'd have security with me, but it was all these things that my ego for so many years was like, this is going to be amazing when all this happens. Then when it actually does, it's pretty surreal. And I started realizing last year that as wonderfully successful as we were in reaching the 600 million people, and this was scary, but it was time for me to say, I've learned what I needed to learn. I've proven to myself that in fully 100% going into service, being completely authentic with my word and my conversation, that we will reach this goal. And if I stay here with Dell, and they were paying me really well, they were taking care of me and my family and giving tons of opportunities, and I can see why people take corporate jobs. It's pretty addicting. A paycheck comes in like every 2 weeks. Like, money just comes in. I was like, this is just awesome. I never had that experience. You and I have so much to talk about. Oh, but I can see why this happens. And I was scared as heck. But I said to my husband, it's time for me to go again. It's time for me now to step out, create, I didn't mention this, one thing that had happened last year was part of what was fueling this growth was the message of EBW 2020. At our core, I mean, if you just simplified everything, I want to see a smartphone in the hand of every woman and provide her access to the mentoring and the financial literacy and the entrepreneurial skills to build, whether it's her clothing company or a cupcake shop, all the way to the multi-million-dollar business. And because of the different businesses I've built and the people that are around me, we have the expertise to make that happen. While I was at Dell, though, last year, the EBW message was also taking over the Dell messaging. And I have a great relationship with Dell. I continue to stay very close with them. But I knew, I was like, okay, God, you're giving me, insight here on what needs to happen. Because the day the head of communications came to me, which was in December, not of 2013, she came to me and she said, Ingrid, would you mind not talking about EBW anymore? Because it's conflicting with our messaging. It had taken over even Michael Dell's messaging, which is a great thing on the one hand, not so good when your first priority, of course, is take care of the company. Totally understood where they were coming from. But again, it was those things that I was like, I need to be thinking about what goes beyond. So in June, I stepped aside so that I could, in fact, launch our own platform. And Dell is very much involved. In fact, I was on the phone with them on the way over here. but to allow more corporations that, like Dell, certainly they see the business value of it. That's kind of what drives these corporations. They're for profit, of course. That's their job, is to make money. So certainly they need to see that. But what's also really exciting, as Sister Jenna was saying, is we are in a very unique time in the world right now. Women have always, for all of us, the interest in women has been there at some level. Certainly, depending on how many years you go back, the struggles have been much harder for a lot of us. As these years are going on, though, you're seeing this trend of corporations, policymakers, everybody who sees the value of enabling women as leaders, as confident leaders, and successful as entrepreneurs. And so with that, we're tapping into that interest, that wave, and bringing those groups together to be part of this vision of EBW 2020. And so we actually are launching the platform on March 15th. And we have decided, and again, this was really scary, but I heard this is what I need to do. Had a long talk with my husband about it, because we are the funders of EBW 2020. Until the corporations, until that money is cash flowing in, we're it. And we've got a lot of people that have helped bring this vision into reality. And about 3 weeks ago, I was really struggling with the business side, and I was getting kind of scared, actually, like, oh my gosh, this thing's getting so big and we're going to be out of money in no time. And I talked to my that really brings people together to be part of it, because they really want to help women succeed. And it's amazing in doing that, because as soon as we made that decision, literally out of the blue, introduced to me by a friend of mine, a woman shows up at my house. I threw a party, and I told my friends they could all have +1s. We threw a party at the house for a nonprofit we were celebrating in town, down in Austin, Texas. And a friend of mine brings a woman, Susan Ficus, and says, Ingrid, Susan Ficus is an expert at starting and running foundations. She knows how to work with people who are really trying to manage their wealth, and corporations who are trying to figure out how to divert funds into foundations where they can really make a difference, make an impact. And this is her expertise, and she knows all about you, and she wants to take this on for free to start, till it starts cash flowing. Literally out of the blue. So long story short there is, like, I was on the phone with them today. There's a whole team of people now running this foundation. So that's all come together. The teams all come together. We're moving towards making this vision a reality. And it has all come from, I finally got over my own ego, my own fear, and there's a lot of that, and I struggle with it every day, which is why I start my day in meditation. But it all happened when I made that decision, not just here, but here, that I would 100% go into service of what I was called to do. And so if there is that one little nugget, as I said before, and they always say it 3 times if you want people to really remember it, take it in. And so the 3rd time I'll say it is, I offer you the opportunity and challenge you with the opportunity. When you leave, maybe it's this weekend, carve out a little bit of time for yourself. Give yourself the biggest gift you can give yourself. Find that space by yourself. Think through, am I really ready? And if you're not quite ready just yet, it's okay, it'll come. If you're not quite ready just yet, just ask. Ask that question, what is it that you need me to hear today? And as you gently move closer and closer to that, going into 100% service of that, it is truly transformational in your life. And the wonderful thing about it is it's one of the easiest things you can do, because the only thing that holds you back from not doing that is yourself, ourself. It took me until I was 40 I'm 44 now. It took me until I was 40 to be able to do it. That's a long damn time when you're in your 20s and you're like, I'm going to make this happen, something awesome, but I wasn't ready yet. So anyways, I have tons of stories for you, but I really would love to open it up if that works for you all. Yes, please, thank you.
So I have also had the privilege to not have a paycheck every week. So my overwhelm is in the fact that I have also been blessed with foot issues. So I have literally go inside the shoe stores looking for the comfortable shoe, and it's not there. And I have been doing this for years. I know all the carts to make the comfortable shoe for women that's still sexy, sassy, and funky.
I need that shoe.
And,
That's a shoe. Sign us up.
And it's totally, yeah, I mean, I know that I can do this, but, I have not been in a position where I have created from being self-employed enough money to step forward. Is this foundation something that would help me, because I'm ready?
Oh,
Yes, could you tell us more about the foundation and what
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for asking. Thank you for bringing that up. So the short answer is we'll help connect you with the resources that can provide you, whether it's the coaching to get the funding or actually to the funding. So what our foundation does is we provide tools, technology, and resources to enable women to be successful as leaders and entrepreneurs. And our primary focus as we launch out, because the biggest thing that we have found that keeps women from either starting or growing their business is actually not lack of capital, which is what everybody will say. It's actually not that. It's lack of confidence. And it's when you solve the confidence issue, and the fastest way to solve the confidence issue is simply taking the first step, literally like forcing yourself through that moment of fear to say, I'm just going to take the first little step. But what makes taking the first step easier is having a great mentor. And so we've prioritized a way to connect women so let's say you're somebody that makes your business, if you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're just starting out and you don't have anything. Let's say that. Well, then we would team you up with a woman in the next tier, which would be, so it's like 0 to 50,000, 50 to 250,000, and team you up with a woman there. So now you've got a sister. And then we have Circle of Fives that we're putting women together. But we've got resources then to connect you into to help on the funding front. As far as my funding, our funding, so my husband and I, we angel invest, but we angel invest in technology companies that all build applications that make that platform work better. And then I'm an investor in a venture fund called Bell Capital, something to look at, which prioritizes women-led businesses, generally technology. So what I would do if I were in your shoes, first of all, join. It would be great. It's free. It's amazing. We created what I wanted, what all of us wanted.
I've emailed, and nobody's emailed me back.
You haven't got. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. And you wouldn't have gotten an email back. You'll start getting those over the next few weeks. Yeah. So they are literally heads down, making sure everything's working before everything goes live.
I got it. Okay, because this is just starting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. There's one thing that Ingrid mentions a lot, and in the question, Ingrid talks about putting your 100% in. And that's something that I think is so important for individuals to understand what that actually means, because a lot of us get into either business, a relationship, a job, and we put a little bit of us, but where does the majority of the rest of us, what is it that holds back that soul? You know, we come into something, we're talking all the good stuff, all right? And you think you're putting your all, but deep down, if you check yourself, you're only putting in 20, 30. And then the 70% or 80% that's really got a hold on you. It's really not fulfilling what you really want. What happened with you when you just said, I'm putting 100% of me in it? How did you do that?
Thank you for asking that. I know. 'Cause as I said, part of my meditation every day is that I'm scared half to death. I really am. A good chunk of the time, like, what am I thinking? What am I doing? And that happens throughout the day. And of course it's going to happen because we're living a human experience. We're spiritual beings living a human experience. And if we didn't have a strong ego, and I always share that, the ego actually plays a really, really important role. Because if it wasn't for that ego side of us saying, yeah, we can do this, like we can bust through walls and make things happen when everybody else says it can't be done. Like if we didn't have that piece of us, you need that good ego. Yeah. The bad ego is the voice on your shoulder saying, you're not good enough. Who do you think you are? Yeah. And that's a tough one. For me on that front, I have worked very hard. I'll say that very hard in the sense of I've spent a lot of time having conversations with the divine, carving that time out when there are lots of other things I'm sure we could all be doing, but being very deliberate about carving the time out and sitting there long enough until I know the click happens. And the click is, when does all of a sudden that voice, even, I mentioned I go into it when I hear my grandfather's voice. And even sometimes I'm like, that little mean ego plays a little joke and I feel like it's tricking me. I hear my grandfather and it's tricking me, but it's an ego conversation. And when I just sit and long enough, all of a sudden, when the moment happens that all of a sudden you're just receiving insight and thoughts and coming to this very warm, loving place when the answers start becoming very, very clear. And it's from that place that I get very settled, very centered. And when I feel complete in that meditation, then I go out into the world. And so as the thousands of things come through and the little mean voice in my shoulder says, no, you're not good enough, whatever, I take the deep breath and I go straight back to that place and I just say, this, you can recognize, this is not what I'm called to do. And my choice is I can focus here, or I can focus on my calling. And that is scary sometimes. It's really scary when you have a lot of smart people around you, which I do. I make a habit of finding the smartest people I can find and trying to get out of their way. just let's all create together. But, when you have people like a Michael Dell, easy example because I think most of us probably know who he is. But when he's questioning things and saying this, we've never done this before, I don't think we're going to pull this off, you got to take a pretty big, deep breath and go to that place to say, I know this is where we need to go because I'm listening and this is what we need to do, and I'm going to walk through the fire. And then when it's all over, you're like, oh, thank God, whew, worked out. But that is how I work through it. Yeah. Yes, please. Thank you.
But I'll be okay. So peace and love to you.
Thank you. You too.
I do appreciate being able to sit here. This is like Spirit always guides you to the perfect time, the perfect place, and the perfect person. I've done many businesses. I still have desires. I have businesses in me. But there's a side of me that, again, out of my control is hormonal, and I think a lot of women deal with hormone issues that are not being addressed. And in the business place, especially when we look at today, we have to focus our efforts on entrepreneurship because there, quote unquote, is no good jobs. And I hope I'm not disappointing anybody or busting any bubbles. So I think what you all have put in place is really where we're going. We have to get on board. We don't have a choice. But I do also ask if you all are considering educating women, because even with me, my condition took me way off point. I was that, and I still am that go-getter, make it happen. This is what it is. But when that time happens for me, it really is a challenge. And my goal would to be to see an organization that supports women that may have that, so that business is thriving. So I know technology is going to play a big factor in that.
For sure. Thank you for bringing this up, because I feel like you just handed me on a silver platter a few things to touch on there. And first of all, just really congratulations to you for continuing to walk forward. I get that. When I was a kid, I was told, literally the term they used back then was I could no longer go to the school that I was in because the principal told I was failing out of school. I was raised in a family that we were taught to excel. And I was failing out. And my parents were told I was retarded. That literally was the phrase. I know. We laugh now, but it's not PC, but that is the phrase they used back then. And I ended up getting sent off to a special school for special kids, special needs, special. It turns out, and there's a whole story around that, and in fact, just on Saturday, I went back to see some of these old places not too far from here. But it turns out that I have really, really bad hearing problems. But had we not diagnosed those hearing problems, I can't even imagine where I would be today. These are all things, and I think it happens a lot to women too. When I say women too, but it happens a lot to kids. But I think for women, even as we get older, because so often, so many of us, for the first time in our families and our communities, we're going out and playing in these leadership roles and whatever that means as an entrepreneur inside a corporation. And we're experiencing things for the first time, and we're trying to figure it out. And perceptions are made of who people think we are, and it has nothing to do with the truth. So from that place, the foundation of EBW is very much from that, because even in my first company, I was told I don't look like, act like, sound like, or talk like any of the CEOs the investors are used to funding. And my advisor said, I don't think you will get this done. And I was devastated. I cut off all my hair, started wearing glasses. Now I love wearing suits, but at the time I bought dark blue business suits so I'd look like an IBMer or something, and tried to man up and be like one of the dudes, which failed miserably because I completely lost my confidence. But it was those experiences that I get it looking back why I went through that, and I get that women do. But I absolutely, if there's one thing that I can do with all of this work, is how can I help other women not have to go through all of those steps that I might have? And so the foundation is totally built from that place to meet women of all different kinds and all different needs. So that's important. That's what makes us unique. I did not answer your second question because I honestly don't remember what it is because you inspired me so much asking about that. But I'm happy to answer anything I can. Oh, did I get everything or did I forget something? Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Shanti. I'm a mom of 4, and I eventually had to leave corporate America to be just as dedicated as to overseeing and managing my family as I was in corporate America. And now that the children are all in school, I find myself with extra time and lots of ideas that have been percolating. And I've been writing them down over 10 years, and I've narrowed it down to about 2 that I am very much interested, that are on the lines of technology development. And I will tell you, I've been meditating over these ideas for the past 2 weeks that I have been attending the center. And I'm very happy that you're here tonight, and I totally didn't expect this. I was just coming for a meditation of making the impossible possible. And I would really like to know, I saw your name on the website, but I didn't have a chance to Google you or find out what it is that you're doing and trying to reach 1 billion women. And I would like to be one of those 1 billion women that you reach and empower.
Thank you. Oh, that is just, thank you so much. And congratulations to you. I mean, oh my gosh. Does she look like she could even be a mother of 4? You must have started when you were 2. You look incredible. I will, 2 suggestions for, and this applies to everybody in here, that I think you're going to love these. I'm a huge fan of reading, a voracious reader, and I've got some favorite books, but one of them, and it's super quick, easy, and fast, and it's called Overcoming Under-Earning. It was one of the best books that I read years ago, but it is all about this click that goes off in your head, about owning your own self-worth. And it's written by Barbara Stanny, who's the daughter of the H&R Block founder. She thought she would be a trust fund baby, and when she was 41, and her husband had spent all their money, and she was broke, and she went to her dad for money, and he said, I'm not going to do it this time. And she was stuck. She had to figure it out. So this is one of her books. That's a great book.
Can you say the book again?
Overcoming Under-Earning. Overcoming Under-Earning by Barbara Stanny. The second book, I literally just finished it, and I literally am hunting the guy down, the author. And I've got my team. I'm like, go get this guy. We got to go get him. Somehow we're going to work with him. Please, yes. You should. Yes. His name is Jeff Walker. Okay. Have any of you heard of Jeff Walker? You have. Okay. His book is called Launch. Yeah. It is the best $15 investment you will ever make. The reason I picked it up is because at EBW 2020, we did a call out back in October for women around the world to apply to be global ambassadors. These are voices and representatives of their communities around the world. And we were just overwhelmed. We got bombarded by all these women coming in to apply. And we were so blessed with that. We ended up picking 26 women. These are women from Kenya who have their own 1,000 women organization. Amazing women. One of the women, Vanessa Loader, out of San Francisco, went from being an investment banker, corporate world, to quitting her job, raising her family, being a bit lost what she wanted to do. She loved meditation. She literally she went and took a Jeff Walker course, got his book, decided she's going to launch this online business. So for anything you might have a passion around, followed his recipe to the T. I was on a call with her the day before she went live. She made $8,000 her first day of opening. She has no costs, none, except for her website costs, like whatever that costs a month, $30 or something. She made her own site. It's amazing. So this book gives you, if you follow it to the T, it tells you how to do it. And I read the thing and I was like, oh my gosh, this is easy, fun. And so those 2 books, that will launch you well. Wow. Yeah.
Hi. I'm over here. Hi. I have cried the entire time you spoke. I just want to tell you that.
I hope for good reasons, because I've kind of cried too.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so happy.
So thank you, Sister Jenna, for inviting me. My name is Wendy Wolf, and I wrote a book called The Letter Writing Project. And I inspire teens to use letter writing, people and teenagers to use letter writing to figure out what moves you in the world and how to contribute to the greater good. And I have been stuck a little bit with some of the negative voices that have come in, like, do I want a lot of publicity? Do I want to give up my anonymity? And I'm on this precipice. And so I just decided tonight that I would come from Baltimore. I don't even know why. I wasn't exactly sure. Sister Jenna invited me. I thought I'd come. And I wasn't going to speak, but I have to tell you that when you said that you love reading, there were so many messages tonight that spoke to me personally. And I just want to thank you so deeply that I can do this and I can 100% commit. I have been 90%, but I'm going to be 100% tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And unbelievable. I also do a lot of nonprofits. So if you need any help, let me know. But I just wanted to say thank you because we're going to grow from your experience. We're part of the 1 billion. All the people that follow me are part of your 1 billion, and I really deeply thank you because I have been afraid.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. And I'm going to give you my book before you leave.
I would love that. Thank you so much. Can I say one thing on that, though? Because this is something that I've learned, too, and I promise, if not everybody, most everybody in this room, if not everybody, has experienced this. So I have seen, actually, so I've had some very, very, very spiritual experiences. Very, like, there's no question that something's going on. And I have noticed that right as I'm about to break through, the bigger the thing is that I'm going after, the bigger, and I call it altar energy, the bigger that comes in and tries to push me off that. Sometimes to truly drastic measures where I've felt scared and I've had to totally center myself to say, this is not light, and all there is light. And hold on to that knowledge that these things are going to happen to try to stop you from being your greatest self. Things will happen because truly, especially for all of us women, the reason I do what I do also is because truly to create a global sustainable future, and I've said this for so many years, to create the sustainable future that's really going to get our world where we need to be, it's going to happen through a new set of eyes, and that is the eyes of women. We need to work in collaboration with... If it wasn't for all the amazing guys around us, and I always say, I love doing business with the guys. They're so much fun. And we need the guys to be there to help provide lift to our wings, for sure. But it is happening through this new set of eyes. Because as women become empowered, purely from an economic standpoint, when women start making money, it is fact, they turn around and reinvest 90% of that into their communities. They're the ones investing into the children, into the school systems, giving back, trying to see how can we make our communities even richer. And right now, I mean, just on a global scale, you can see why there's so much fear around what that potential for women is. It's a very interesting environment right now. Tons of potential, but there are lots of things going on that are trying to keep that back. So just trust that calling. I'm so glad you're 100% into that because this is your calling. Yes. And you step across and just keep going, and all of us are here to support you. We're with you. We understand. We get it. And you're getting there. You're going to get there. So I'm so glad that you showed up tonight. This was meant to happen.
So much.
Yeah. Oh. Kiss. Thank you.
One question here, and then we'll get Harriet.
Okay. Hi there. Thank you for being here. I identify with a lot of your story. I, too, own a technology company, and I understand that you have a bucket of technology, media, and policy, and I was wondering if you can expound a little bit more on your policy bucket, because I do have a specific question when it comes to some of the new rules for small businesses, and it affects government small business, contracting and things like that. It does affect different women-owned set-asides, 8A programs, and things like that. So as a small business owner trying, to, be this little fish in this big ocean right now, I wanted to know your stance on policy, and are you looking toward the federal side? I know right now you're on the private side with Dell. So can you expound a little bit on that, please?
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. And I'm going to put it out there so that I don't forget to do it. I can't even ask for a bigger dream to happen than if you would give me your personal feedback from a policy perspective. Because to take a step back and to explain on the policy side, so
I no longer work in Dell. I partner with them. But while I was at Dell, part of reaching this goal of connecting with entrepreneurs and women, like I was seeing it mostly in international areas where women, for example, didn't have the right to have access. Their husbands controlled the phones and whatever. And I knew the only way we were going to change this is through policy. So I was asked to sit on the United Nations. They have something called the Global Entrepreneurs Council, and it's 10 of the world's top entrepreneurs, and I got asked. Of course, I accepted. And that gave me the ability to start working on an international basis on policy issues. But I brought it back here to the States. Long story short is this. So first policy initiatives, I architected legislation starting at the federal level, now about 2.5, 3 years ago, for EIR legislation. So because we saw what we were able to do together in my time at Dell, we said, what if we took the same personality type and worked collaboratively with government to, we're not asking for favors, I'm not a fan of that and mandates or this and that, but I am very much a fan of how do we be more effective with our spending? How can we open up the doors to create opportunity for women? So we created legislation, started at the federal level, and then I took it state by state, worked with governors in many states to get it passed, and we've now got it passed in a number of states. The neat thing, and the reason I went, is because when I finished at Dell, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, some of the states prioritized women in that EIR legislation. There's never, ever been comprehensive legislation put together to help promote women as leaders and economically. Never a comprehensive package. And I knew, again, a divine thing, I understood I needed to work on that. I was asked to go to dinner with the Speaker of the House of Ohio that I met because of the EIR legislation. The long story short, literally just last week, right before I came here, I went to Ohio to put that legislation together. Ohio will be the first state that passes the legislation, and then we're taking it. Yeah, thank you. It's crazy, but we're getting there. But I really would appreciate my email. It's very easy, and I'm not great on getting back at email because there's a lot, but we are trying. We're trying to get a system in place, but I can't tell you how much I really would appreciate your feedback from a legislative standpoint. What are the things that you're experiencing, and from an entrepreneurial standpoint, that if we can create a solution there would really make a difference. And my email, it's super easy. It's my initials, IV, as in Ingrid Vanderveldt, at ebw2020.com. It's not easy? Oh, no! I have 2 other emails that are much harder, and I was like, this one's super easy. Nobody will ever mess that one up. They'll remember. EBW 2020, so empowering 1 billion women by 2020. So it's just my initials, IV at ebw2020.com. Entrepreneur in residence. Yeah, thank you.
I just thought I'd get, it's on, give a little perspective in terms of time, because I graduated quite a few decades ago from college. And I graduated, it was Harvard University. And so I thought, you know, well, my first job interview, they listened to me, and then they put their fingers together and said, well, I hope you know how to type because that's what you'll be doing. I swear. And it was, so we've come a long way. Yes. I just wanted to put that perspective.
Thank you.
It may still be hard, but
It's a brilliant story.
It is. We're riding on your shoulders.
Did you take the job?
Are you kidding? One male question.
I'll make my answer short.
With all due respects, I just wanted to ask why you feel motivated to empower women and not empower humans, people. And I just have to tell you that I just took my son who just turned 18. He's applying for schools, and we went to Tulane, and There were 50 families there, and there was like, my son was the only male.
Oh,
wow. And from this, I found out that in higher education, females are like totally disproportionately represented, and that goes along with higher. I don't think that's good. I don't think two wrongs make a right here. And so I just wanted to see how you reflect on that.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you. The short answer there is I truly do go where I'm called to go, and when I imagine myself many years down the road, I pray that I'm going to continue to just be able to expand, and it'll go potentially beyond women. But right now, and I thank you for sharing this story. My husband's got some great stories on. I just love the male perspective, but my calling is really focused on women. I've got work to do here. We all do, but thank you for asking that. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Okay.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Sister Jenna, for bringing Ingrid. My name is Vardy Pineda, and I just want to tell you that you really touched my heart. I have been on a journey for a little over a year, and I wrote and published my first book. And,
Congratulations! That's wonderful.
It just kind of just happened. Like over 2 days, I wrote it. And it's evolved, and there's been a lot of magical things that have happened.
Thank you. And I'm kind of in a stuck place, and everything is always perfect, right? So here I am, and here you are with all of this amazing empowerment. And so I'm thinking, well, of course I'm here, right? This is exactly how it's supposed to be. So I just really want to thank you for everything you've done and everything we're going to do.
Thank you so much. Oh, you should start a Kickstarter campaign. I know, yeah. They're easy. They're okay.
Well, shall we give a big hand to this incredible? The way I look at it, Brother David, could I have some mic? The way I look at it is, she's a soul, and her soul is in the body of a female at this time, and wherever the soul was traveling before she entered this body, perhaps she was a man, and perhaps she did some stuff. And she decided that she was going to come back and fix this.
Make it right.
That's like
Can I tweet that?
Please. So the way that we grow spiritually is about understanding the dimensions of soul and energy. And what I took away from your conversation is something that I learned from Sister Gita. We were at Best Buy, and we were getting a television for the museum 6 years ago, and she paused as she entered at Best Buy because Michael Jackson was on TV dancing to Thriller. So I left her, and I goes, okay, you're going to be here? She says, yes. And so I left her. And I went away shopping, and I came back with the items, and Sister Gita was one person standing watching Michael Jackson perform. And when I came back, there were 30 people around Sister Gita. Beat it! Beat it! And I have to tell you what I learned from that. Just that scene, I learned that on my spiritual journey, give your 100%. And don't hold anything back. And so when you say about the 100%, I would like to sort of highlight that in today's conversation, because I think many of us just hold back too much of the good. And then we struggle from that holding back unnecessarily. Do you understand? So put your 100% in. There will be a lot of failures, but there will be a lot of victories, and the victories will actually delete the failures. You won't even remember they existed. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so, on behalf of all the team here, Kaylin, Antonia, Sister Gita, Navata, David, Santosh, who, by the way, just learned how to do camera today.
Right. Good job.
This is going to be interesting. But in all reality, we want to thank you for taking the time to come out, because I think what came out additionally very loud is that you're connected to God. And I think a lot of people in the corporate or professional sector tend to not want to reveal that. It's not anyone's business. But I think that it's time for us to be involved with that business, so that the energy of that being can keep using us more to make this world a better place. So thank you for that. And thanks for making my job in teaching meditation easier. So, do you have any closing remarks, and before we go into a meditation?
Just again, thank you all so much. You have my email, and I really welcome the conversation. And I know you had a question, so when we're done, I'm going to stay till you and I talk. Okay? And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So, are there any closing announcements, Antonia, before meditation? Kaylin?
Shanti. So we have a wonderful new CD by Sister Jenna. Those of you that don't know about it, haven't heard about it, it's called Off the Grid. Off the Grid.
Into the heart. Don't forget that part.
It's for those of us that are on the go and want to hear about how we can get into the heart while we're on the go, as opposed to running away on a mountaintop somewhere. And there's a meditation app called Pause for Peace, and that's available on Android as well as the App Store. It's free and has wonderful commentaries, as well as the daily America Meditating radio show. I know, Shanti.
Thank you. That CD means a lot to me, because for many years I've been trying to educate individuals to trust that this journey of meditation is not emptying the mind from thoughts. Your thoughts are important. I just think it's important for us to engage in the proper pattern of thinking, so that we can feel alive and really get the story moving forward. And so, just in closing, being involved with my spiritual community, the Brahma Kumaris, which is run by women, I have seen what you're talking about. I've seen what women who might be uneducated or educated, short, tall, whatever, I've seen them grow a very small body of thought, one little center, into 9,000 centers in 120 countries. I've seen it, and I've seen how they've done it very quietly. They don't show it. It's from the heart. And so when we look at empowering a woman, we look at empowering the whole of humanity, because the qualities of nurturing and patience are so needed in this time, and I would like to invite everyone tonight to really get involved and to come forward with the Empowering a Billion Women 2020. And please keep updated on where our next move will be, which is down the road. We will inform you, and I do wish for you to keep supporting the radio show, as well as all the activities that we do here for free. And so just to keep in mind that this is coming from the heart of all the students, and we believe in charity to humanity and making the world into a better place. Okay, so thank you. So you ready to do your off the grid into the heart meditation?
Yes.
After this, Ingrid and I will give you all a little treat, which is a little sweet called Toli. And you all have gotten a card that is off the grid into the heart. It's called a blessing card. Behind that card is your blessing for the night. Read your blessing before we go into meditation, and I'm sure something magical will happen. Ingrid didn't get a blessing card. Do we have one for her?
Searching for the cards. Okay, so in just a minute or two, just read your card.
You'll find one. We'll get some extra blessing cards if we do. All right. Okay, we'll bring them. No, I didn't. Yeah, I can. I can. As Portia always reminds me, because she's just the best at marketing us. Please visit the website, the meditationmuseum.org website, to be updated on all the wonderful activities that take place. So read your blessing in silence. We need some blessing cards. So hold your blessing inside. And can I give one to Ingrid as well, please? And I want one too. Thank you. They come true, by the way. They come true. Beautiful. What was yours? Wow, okay, you want to hear her blessing?
I'm sure it was, I just said this is for, you are a special soul who is never hijacked by impossible goals, but always willing to search for solutions.
This is the place here. This is the place. This is the space, I'm telling you. There's something when people gather together with pure intentions. They call it magic. All right. So let's go into the meditation now. So hold your blessing inside and keep that very firmly for you. The meditation off the grid into the heart. I know it's a kind of movement meditation, so it'll be a little different for you. But it's just an invitation for you to kind of feel it and get an idea of what I'd like. And we would really love to make this CD really get out there. It's really important to me. So please tweet it and share it and also enjoy it. All right. Breathe in deeply. Inhale now. Make sure everyone's comfortable. Your cell phones are off. Antonia, business no more as usual. Breathe in deeply, inhale and exhale. And just allow your awareness to just appreciate the evening and what was co-created. And invitation is to just allow you to be in your silent space as we get off the grid and step into the heart. And could we have some silence in the back as well, please? Past stories, the history that gets into our way. Let us now remember our connection to the Supreme Energy, the Supreme Soul, the being of light. For far too long, we have allowed the external forces to dictate our inner force. And at this time, I choose to get off the grid and step inside the heart, to be myself. I choose to no longer be under the influence of what the world tells me, what my parents have told me, my spouse, friends, or anyone who has been a negative influence in my life. In this meditation, I stand strong in the original, eternal, imperishable worth of the soul. I, the being of light, the soul of power, I step into the heart and I become a being of love, a being of light and goodness.
Om Shanti. As we move into the final stage of the night, our little gift that we'll be offering to you, I'd like to invite you to do it in silence. If you'd like to meet with Ingrid at the end of the night, you can meet her in the back of the room. But I'd like us to sort of nurture the silence of the space, because one of the most powerful forces is to have a mind that is free of negative and waste thoughts, which creates an atmosphere of silence. So thank you all for coming, and thank you all for being, and I know your blessings will come true. Om Shanti. So we'll just play some music, and just pull up your chair a little bit.